Hey boys and girls, today we are talking about dividing decimals by whole numbers. So yesterday we were also dividing decimals by whole numbers, and we drew pictures to help us and had visual models, so you can continue to do that if that's helpful for you. Today we're going to also just kind of try to solve some just doing that standard algorithm, just figuring it out. Okay, so we're going to be able to divide a decimal by a whole number, and let's look at our first problem. It says Mr. Lewis bought a watermelon for a summer picnic. At home, he carves the watermelon and makes 12 bowls of watermelon pieces. Each bowl weighs the same amount. How much does each bowl weigh? So remember, we've talked about our 3-read strategy, so we can get a good idea in our mind what this problem is about. So let's do a 3-word, what's this about? What is this problem about? Remember, not a math thing, just what is it about? Say Mr. Lewis's watermelon. Sharing the melon. Bowls of watermelon. Anything. But now we're getting in our mind, okay, I know this is about putting some watermelon in some bowls. Okay, when we look at it again, Mr. Lewis bought a watermelon for a summer picnic. At home, he carves the watermelon and makes 12 bowls of watermelon pieces. Each bowl weighs the same. How much does each bowl weigh? Important quantities in here. We know that he carves the watermelon and puts them into 12 bowls. Also, our picture tells us that we have a 4 8/10 pound watermelon, and we are carving it, and we put 12 bowls, and each bowl weighs the same. So I've divided that into 12 bowls. Now, maybe, hopefully, you're looking at this problem and you're saying, wait a second, 48 and 12, what does that make you think of? Hopefully 4. And so let's think about that, and let's keep that in our mind as we're doing our work here, okay? Alright, so if I'm taking my watermelon and I'm dividing it into 12 bowls, I want to know how much each bowl weighs. Now, like I said, you've got plenty of room. If you'd like to draw it out, we can do that. You can do that. But I'm going to show you guys how we can just divide it. Now, when we are dividing with decimals, now remember, as we were multiplying with decimals, we pretended like that decimal wasn't there, and we figured it out at the end. For decimals, it's a little bit different. Now, you can do that, that's fine. But the good thing with decimals is if we have a decimal and a whole number, we're just going to bring that decimal straight up here. And this is going back to what I told you was really important when we were dividing, that you line it up correctly. And I'll show you why now. So now we are going to pretend that decimal is not there. And I'm going to say, how many times can 12 go into 48? And we're going to know it's 4 times. This is where it's important. 12 went into 48 4 times, okay? 12 didn't go into 4 times, so that's why that 4 doesn't go there. And see why that's important? Because that 4 is behind the decimal. We know that 4 and 4/10 are not the same value. It does matter where that decimal is. 4 times 12 is 48. I have nothing left, no remainder. So let's think, would 4/10 make sense? If I have 12 and I multiply it by 4/10, yes, 4.8 is going to make sense. 4 8/10. Okay? So let's turn the page. Let's look at page 434. Janet builds a ladder to a tree fort. She places the steps at equal intervals. Just means equally between. How far apart are the steps? So we can see our ladder picture right here. We know that her whole ladder is 2 1/10 meters. And she's dividing it equally. How far apart are the steps? So the other thing we have to figure out, how many are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little rungs. So we know that we're dividing by 7 to know the distance each one is. Okay, so we needed to rely on that picture really good for that. Again, I hope you're thinking of some numbers. When you see 21 and 7, you're probably thinking of 3. Let's keep that in our mind. Again, if I write out 2 1/10 divided by 7, I only have a decimal in my divisor, so I can move it straight up. There is some other things we have to do if we get to decimals and decimals, but for right now with decimals, and there's only a decimal here, then we bring it straight up. So then we know 7 goes into 21 3 times. There again, it was very important that my 3 is behind the decimal, because that made a very different value. And if I check it, I know 7 times 3/10 is gonna give me 2 1/10. All right. Let's turn again, because I think we're ready to just solve some. So we're on page 436 now. Let's do a couple of these dividing ones. Again, we only have decimals in our dividend, not our divisor. So I'm going to pull this decimal straight up so it's there. And then we'll do like we've been doing division with whole numbers. So we ask, how many times can 6 go into 27? Well, it goes into 27 4 times, not into 2 4 times. It's important that that 4 is right above that 7 and right beside that decimal. And we know that's 24. Gonna subtract, bring it on down, and bring it on back. 6 goes into 36 6 times, and I have no remainder, and I have nothing left to bring down. So my answer is 4 6/10. We always check our division with multiplication. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 4 is 24. 25, 26, 27. I have one decimal. I bring it right on in that one time. And remember, 4 6 times is 24, so 27 is makes the most sense of where we put our decimal. And see, it checks from what we had here. Let's do another one. Again, I'm going to pull that decimal straight up. All right, 3 can go into 7, can't it? You could ask how many times will 3 go into 72, but that's going to be a big number. It's okay to ask how many times 3 can go into 7. 3 can go into 7 2 times. 2 times 3 is 6. You see that I put that 2 right above that 7. Then I subtract, bring it on down, and bring it on back. 3 goes into 12 4 times. So I have 2 numbers before the decimal on this one, because 4 times 3 is 12. Subtract, bring it on down, and bring it on back. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 24 3/10. Let's check that. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. And 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. We have one decimal. We jump out, jump back in right here. And we know that 25 3 times would be 75. And 72 is very close to that. Let's do one more. Okay, I'm going to bring my decimal right up. I only have a decimal in here, not outside. All right, 8. I know 8 goes into 17 2 times, so my 2 goes above my 7, because 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract, bring it on down, and bring it on back. 8 goes into 12 once, because 1 times 8 is 8. And 8 goes into 48 6 times, because 6 times 8 is 48. Let's check that. 2 1600ths times 8 should give me this number. 8 times 6, 48. You already did all this work right here. 8 times 1 is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 8 times 2 is 16, 17. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's the only place it makes sense. If I have $2 8 times, that's $16. So $17 is a good close answer. Alright, so that's what we're doing today. Continue doing these if you would like and check those and make sure you complete your homework.